We see power all around us in the world. We admire bodies that are powerful. Many people search after the power of money. Others like the power of leading or being over others. This past week in the news, we saw a lot of examples of power. Not all of those examples were good. The biggest news item of the week was the tragedy that came out of Syria, where certain people exercised their power to chemically gas innocent people. And then in response to that, we saw a powerful response in the bombing that came from the United States. Oftentimes, the power that's exemplified in the culture and the leadership around us is an abuse of power. We see a culmination this past week of ongoing bickering between the members of Congress over the way to do things, and it culminated this week with the controversy around the Supreme Court pick. And then we've got the constant sniping that's gone on between our current president and the last president regarding spying and Russia and all these types of things. So power is all around us. Power is a constant struggle that we see and face in our lives as the people of God. And power is at the center of the events of the last week of Jesus' life. The chief priests were posturing for power, looking for everything they could to preserve their power and their control over the people by getting rid of Jesus. Judas fell to the power of the temptation of money. Peter was defeated by the power of denial. And Pilate looked to wash his hands of any power of responsibility for putting Jesus on the cross. And in the midst of all those things, Jesus could have called down all the power from heaven to earth to free himself from this terrible crisis of power. But instead, he chose to show us that true power is seen in something very different. We call this week the Passion Week. It's an interesting word, passion, right? When we first hear it, it conjures up an intense, deep love between two people, an intimacy, a personal relationship, something that's very strong. Then when we think about the word passion further, it's about having a deep, deep love and desire for something. That person is passionate about their job or their car or whatever it may be. And as we think about it, we then realize that Jesus' power is in his passion. And we are his passion. As the God of all creation, he is deeply in love with us. It's an intense, personal, intimate love shown to us over and over again as he comes to us in the gifts of the church. And our God is passionate about us, constantly working in our lives to make a difference. Throughout our journey of Lent, we have seen the power of Jesus' passion and how it changes our lives. We hear that we have true power in the face of temptation by the guidance of God's word. We heard that the power to be born again comes to us over and over again by water and the Spirit. We heard that the power of God's love breaks down the boundaries of discrimination and hatred that often exist in this world around us. We heard that the power of God's love opened our eyes to see the world in a different way. And it all culminated last week when we saw that the most incredible power that we have in our lives is that when we are moved compassionately to feel the pain of others and to make a difference. In this world where so often power is abused, misunderstood, or looked at in all the wrong ways, we understand that we have the greatest power of all as Jesus comes to us and continues to work in our lives. That's what this week is all about. Amen.